Hey everyone, Ariel Adams here with a blog to watch. Today I'm going to review a cult classic if there ever was one. It's a new cult classic, but I think that there's going to be a lot of discussion about this for a while, and hopefully there'll be more. This is the Grape Soda Chronograph by Welsbro. Welsbro is owned by someone here in Los Angeles, but it is a historic brand that has been around for a long time. And the revival was something of an interest because the new watches melded the new and the old in terms of the cases and the movements and the styles and things like that. Great art direction, a lot of great graphic design for the brand. And this Grape Soda was, according to the website, just 4 watches. They sold out very quickly. They were not particularly inexpensive, though there is a very good value proposition here, as I'll explain. And I think that, the thing that stands out to most people is, whoa, classic design, cool movement. Wait a minute, purple? I think I like purple. I didn't even know I liked purple. And I have been writing about watch colors a lot recently, and I've discussed purple as being maybe not the next blue, but certainly the next green in terms of the fact that I think it's going to be very popular and there's going to be a lot of exploration of shades and things like that. It's a tone that I think has traditionally been associated with women's watches, and that's still great. It's still a great feminine color, but I think that this is a good example of men's purple. And it all begins with this strap. Now, we'll get to the colors in a moment. Let me just sort of explain what's going on here. This is a watch by an American company produced in Japan with a lot of Japanese parts, with an old Swiss movement and an Italian strap, and I think the dial is Chinese. And they were very clear about where the components were made, which is really cool. The movement is a vintage 1960s, I believe, Welsbro 92. This is a manually wound chronograph movement. It sort of has this beautiful traditional finishing. This has been sort of restored, but it is a traditional movement, so it has little signs of wear and things like that on there. This was a column wheel based mechanism. You can see it over here, tiny little column wheel there. And this predated the Welsbro 72, which is the famous movement, which was in the Paul Newman versions of the Rolex Daytona that actually were not amazingly successful at launch because that movement was seen as being a bit simple, given the fact that automatic chronograph movements are in. But for posterity's sake and beauty's sake, isn't that nice? Now, this case was built around this movement. I think that's what's so cool, and what a lot of watch lovers like is they don't want a movement to just sort of fit into a case. They want a case built around a movement, and these are handmade Japanese cases. They're not super water resistant, and they have that cool look of them of being sort of this handmade thing, but that's actually cheaper to do than to try to industrialize a production that is so low. And a lot of things are made in Japan on this watch, including the hands and of course the assembly. This is actually in a lot of ways a Japanese made watch. The watch came with a lot of cool things like the presentation case, and it came with a knife, and the colors again are just stunning. The strap, I think they call it eggplant, and it is leather, but it has a sort of ripple look to it. Kind of reminds me a little bit of maybe an ostrich or something like that, or even kangaroo. It is a great texture. The dial is a traditional 2-register chronograph. It's got a couple of scales in there, tachymeter and a telemeter, and it just has that nice sort of overlapping look, which I think people tend to like a lot. Different shades of purple on there, slightly different finishing. Rather than have, I think you could see black colors, you have these sort of, we'll call them whites and grays, which again, the mixture of colors there is done really, really nicely. And this is just a handsome watch. 38 millimeters wide, 12 millimeters thick. Not a size I normally go for, but again, because of the relative thickness of the case, for me, it doesn't feel too small. And I just love that purple color. So again, that's 38 millimeters wide. And because of the fact that it is on the thicker side, it kind of balances out for me nicely. If this is a thinner watch, I wouldn't necessarily want to wear it. But again, and also those very tall lugs. Look at those lugs there. They're actually quite substantial in how high they are. And they could have been a lot thinner. I actually prefer them this way because, again, it adds visual mass, which is something that I think is important in a case like this for someone like me that likes larger watches. But again, this is the Welsbro Grape Soda with the vintage Welsbro 92 manually wound chronograph movement. A really stunning timepiece. Hopefully we'll see more like it. Extraordinarily rare. Wonderful to see the Welsbro brand coming back in an interesting way. Price for this was $4,880. See more on a blog to watch. Thanks.